First question, distance. If I want to, I could use the distance formula. I'm going to write it out. You may choose to use it if you would like. I don't love it because I forget it. So I'm going to use a different way, but I'll write it down so you have it in case. The distance formula is x1 minus x2 squared plus y1 minus y2 squared. You would plug in your x and your y and your x and your y into the formula. Once you calculate that, it will give you the distance. You should plug it in on your calculator. I forget this formula, so what I prefer to do, I think it's easier to remember the slope, which is y minus y over x minus x. So I would do 18 over negative 32. Put my minus signs. Negative 54 over 33. Then I would calculate 18 minus a negative 54. That will become a positive. I'm going to use Desmos. Oops, that's the graphic one. I want scientific. So I would calculate 18 minus a negative 54, which would become a plus. That gives me 72 on top. Over, then I would do a negative 32 minus 33 is negative 65. Then, with those two values, I will plug them in. So I would have 72 squared plus negative 62 squared. When I square those and I enter this on my calculator, I'm going to enter it all at once.
Did you use 62?
Ah, 5. Thank you. 65. 72, 65. Thank you for catching that. That would have thrown that off. I'll make that look better. $65. 72 squared plus, I have to remember parentheses whenever I have a negative value. Then I square root it. Square root of 9,409 is 97. Yes.
Wait, so we can either use like what?
The formula?
Or the slope thing?
Yep, you may either use the formula and plug in, or you can do the slope and the distance like we had in the past.
So either one will work.
Yep, they both give you the same answer. So today you actually have quite a few options on how you do it. So if I were to use this formula, I would enter it on Desmos like this. I would put -32 minus 33 squared plus my y's. And then it would calculate it all out for you. Be 97, which I can show. The only frustrating part is when it gives you decimals. You would have to type it in without the root and then put the root over it, which I can show you. So square root, parentheses, -32 minus 33 squared plus parentheses 18 minus a -54 squared is 97. These two pieces came from the slope. The squared is from the a squared plus b squared. And the square root is what came from getting the c alone. This is doing every step in one. This is working through the process. Both will give you the correct answer. Questions on that one? No? You understand at least one of them? One of them you're like, cool, I can do that. B, they did not give you 2 points. They gave you a graph. You also have different choices on this one too. Does someone want to throw an idea out? What do you think? How we could find the distance from my point to this point?
You make the, you plot out the points and then you do the formula.
Oh, okay. So you're saying pull out the points. This one would be at -5 down 1. This one would be at -1 up 1. Then use the formula from above. That would work. That is one option. We have an example of that on the top. So I'm not going to do that way, but that definitely works. You can do it on your assignment that way. You can pull out the points and plug them in or do the slope and all that. Anybody else have another idea? Yeah.
Find the slope.
Slope, okay. It goes rise 2 over 1, 2, 3, 4. What will I do with 2 and 4? I don't cut them in half. I have the two numbers that I plug into a squared plus b squared equals c squared.
Slope.
Yep, I have the slope, right? I had the 2 over 4. The slope was done. So I could plug in 2 squared plus 4 squared is c squared. That would be 4 plus 16, which would make 20. Do you want me to show it on the calculator? Okay, that would make 20. And then I would square root it. When I square root 20, do you see how that one had an output of 97 and the root went away and it was just 97? when I square root 20, it is a very long decimal. So if they ask for a decimal, I would type the decimal in. But if it doesn't specify, I will just write it as the exact form. On your computer. Can you see the difference? 97, I would type 97 in because that was a whole number. But when they start giving decimals, unless they ask for a decimal, I write it as exact. If I had done the formula, x minus x squared plus y, oops, bless you, y minus y squared. It gives me the same decimal. Does anybody think they know what I could do to my formula so that I could find what number is in the root? Take off the root. So when I scroll through, I'm just going to go back through. I want to see what that number would be, so take it off. 20 is in my radical, so I know what the number is in there, inside. Any questions? All right. Next question. Use the coordinate grid to find the length of each side of the triangle. Provide given answer in exact form. It wants as a radical. What is the measurement of A to B? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Good, yep. 7's correct. What about A to C? 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'm going to follow the same pattern from up here and try and find what the distance is for my diagonal, because the diagonal I can't just count. 7 squared plus 4 squared equals C squared. 49 plus 16. Yep. And then I square root it. That is what the measurement of B to C is. My diagonal is the square root of 65 because it wants it in exact form. All right, turn the page. Does anybody remember what perimeter means we do with a shape?
We only look for the outside numbers.
Yes, I only need outside numbers. What do I do with the outside numbers?
Multiply them.
That's area. Area I multiply. Perimeter I add. Add all sides together. All right, the first step, you may either, this is what you'll be given, You'll be given the 3 points. You may graph it. I'm going to show you how you can graph it, or you may do it with algebra and not even graph. Graphing it, I have -4 up 6. That's where point A is at. B is at +5 down 8. And C is at 8 up 4. That is my triangle. If you are someone that is a visual, you will probably want to graph. Then I can find A to B. I would go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Those are the two values I plug in. -14 squared plus 9 squared. When I add those together, bless you, -14 squared I have to put in parentheses. The 9, I can put it in parentheses or I can choose not to. The positive will not mess up. I'll have the square root of 277 for A to B. What about B to C? I'm going to count. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That means I would do 3 squared plus 12 squared. Three squared plus 12 squared is 153.
Why'd you put parentheses around the 3 and 12 when they're not negatives?
Habit. You don't have to.
Okay.
I have a habit sometimes that I put parentheses around everything. You do not have to because they're positives. My last side, because I have to find the 3 for a triangle, is up 2 over 1, 2, 3, 4, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. That was back 12. So you don't have to put parentheses around the positive values if you don't want to. -12 squared plus 2 squared is 148. And to get rid of the square, you square root it. What would the perimeter be?
Yeah, and C added.
Add them all up. So I would do 277 plus 153 plus 148 equals,
578.
what did it? Make sure your root doesn't keep going over the plus sign.
Oh, we have to have it score rooted.
Uh-huh. Yep, we're adding up all the square roots. Plus the square root of 148 is 41.178. On your homework, it's not picky about your rounding. 41 point, I'm just gonna put 178. $41.178. The 8 would not round up because of the 1 after it. How many of you prefer doing things in your head instead of graphing? Any of you prefer doing things in your head? Some of you? All right, so for those of you that do not want to use a graph, let's say there's no graph.
Can I use the restroom?
Yeah, real quick. A to B means I would use these 2 points, and I would do x minus x, or sorry, y minus y over x minus x with these 2 points to find the slope. That'd be 6 over -4 minus signs, -8 over 6. 6 plus 8 is 14. -4 minus 6 is negative. Did I count right? 6 over -4. Oh, that's a 5. Sorry. That's a 5. It's -9. Do you notice the 14 and the 9 are the exact same numbers that we got when we were counting on the graph? They're the exact same numbers. So when I plug them in, they will get the same value as I did over here on the left. I can write the points if it helps. That was A to B. Those are the 2 points I used. Then I would do B to C, which means I would use this point and 8, 4. I would use these 2 points. I would find the slope. -8 over 5, minus signs, 4 over 8, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, -12 over 5 minus 8, 8. That's -3. When I combine these together on my calculator, you will notice 3 squared and 12 squared. Even if they're negatives, the negatives will cancel out. and you'll get 153 square root. C to A, we finish our loop and go from 8, 4 back -4, 6. Y over X minus Y over X. -2 over 8 plus 4. We get the same exact numbers we got when counting on the graph up here. So we'd get this 148 when we calculate the square root, then add them all up, and you get the same answer. Those are your two options. You only need to know how to do one of the ways. Some of you like doing all the work on your calculator, perfectly fine. Some of you will like graphing it. I will print off graph paper for you if you need it. Which way do you think you will try on the assignment? The graphing or no graph? No graph? Graph? Graphing? Okay. All right, let's try question C. For the perimeter of a parallelogram. If I know it's a parallelogram, I'm going to do our graphing way first. It's over 3 up 2, over 4 up 5, over 8 up 5, over 7 up 2. If you want to label, you can. You do not have to. The first ones that stand out to me are B to C and A to D. Does anybody know why those two stand out? Because they're parallel and I can count them. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. They're the same distance. If I find the distance for C and D, I'm going to use 1, 3. So I would do 1 squared plus 3 squared. 1 plus 9 is 10. And I square root it. What do you think A to B will be then if D to C is square root 10 and it's 3, 1 again? Square root 10. It has the same numbers. I don't have to do the work. I can just look at it and say it's also a root 10. That means my perimeter is 4 plus 4 plus root 10 plus root 10. I'm going to see what that equals. 4, not times. 4 plus 4 plus root 10 plus, whoops, that was wrong. See how my root went over the plus sign? I don't want that, so I need to arrow over. There we go. 14.325. Look at that. 14.325. Why did I round that 4 up to a 5? Why did I say 325? There's a 5.
It's just 5, 5, 5.
Yep, those 5s would round the 4 up. That is why it changed. Does anybody want me to do it the other way? If you want to, you may use the no graph method if you'd like. I'm not going to show it. Turn the page. We have the perimeter of a trapezoid. I'm going to graph the 4 points. I heard a yawn. Who's yawning? Is that you, Gabe? No? Sorry you guys are tired. B is at 5, 6. 7 is also at 6. And 9 is at 1. I know B to C. That one's easy. And I know A to D. That one's also easy because they are flat along my line. So I would count. The top one is 2. The bottom one is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Over 2. Well, back 2. So I would do 5 squared plus negative 2 squared. That'd be 25 plus 4, which would make 29 on your calculator. Square root of 29 is C to D. I'm going to check this left side. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's a 5 and a 2. What do you think 5 and a 2 is going to make?
Oh.
Square root of 29. 5 and 2, same numbers, same distance. For the perimeter, two plus 6 plus the square root of 29 plus the square root of 29. Two plus 6 plus square root 29, arrow over, plus square root 29, 18.770. And you don't have to put the 0 if you don't want to. Questions on perimeter? All right, the next section is just looking at points for a rectangle. We will be filling in the blanks. They have given us part of 4 points. They have given us that C, right here, is at blank comma, 5. That means that it is up. The y, it's up 5. F is negative 9 blank. G is blank, negative 7. H is 9 comma blank. Let's see. So I put those on my graph or my picture to help me find them. I'm going to fill them in. I'm also going to fill in E, B, A, and D. Do you see how negative 9 is on the left? That means that every point that is in this row on the left will have a negative 9. Do you know what this number should be when it's right on this axis, the y-axis?
0.
0, because it's on the y-axis. And then do you know what this x should be? So those are my x values. Now I'm going to fill in my y values and look at the height. How high is this column? Blank, blank. This one says it's at 5. So if there's a 5, I'm going to fill in my height is 5. My height is 5. This is on the x-axis. My y value would be a height of 0. Then I look for my y value here. It says it's down 7. Then I can fill in C is 9 comma 5, F negative 9 negative 7, G is 0 negative 7, H is 9 negative 7, A right here negative 9 5, B 0 5, D negative 9 0, E 9 0. Does anybody think they know what A to C means? A,
The whole top row.
the whole top row. How long is it? If it goes from the left is negative 9
18.
to positive 9,
Say 10.
18. Hmm?
Oh, for x.
Yep, for the x. Then I do the height, which will be the y's. Different color. C to H. The height of this one is at 5. And then this one's at -7. How far is 5 and -7? It'll be 5 plus 7. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Screen is dead. Questions? Does anybody want to see this last one? Yes. It does look weird at first. When you have these, I would write it down. If you try and do it in your head, sometimes it gets confusing. So my first part is I wrote down where C is. Then I wrote F, where the F point is. G. And H. Then A, there's no markings, so I just filled in a point. Point. I look at the X value and I fill in -6 up. So if -6 is here, -6, -6. If it is on the y-axis, this line, I'm going to put an X value of 0 for everything on this line. Then my X value is a 6, so I would fill in 6. For the y values, what number is on the right side? The 5. So I will place a 5. My y value will be 0 because it's on the x-axis. What will the y value be for the bottom row? Do you see a number on the y side? -2, so I place -2s on those right sides. I copy them over. C is at 6, 5. F is at -6, -2. G is at 0, -2. H is at 6, -2. A, I have to type it in as a point. B, I type it in as a point. D, type it in. E, type it in. And I look for the height now, or the length. It went from my left side of -6 all the way over to a +6. That would equal 12 when I add them up. 6 plus 6 is a distance of 12. The top that it goes, the highest that it goes is 5. The lowest it goes is -2. 5 plus 2 is 7. I keep using that one though. So.